Okay, we've been reading some Earth Day books about nature and our Earth, and we read Where the Forest Meets the Sea, and we talked about how it used to be, the world used to be just nature, and people have come along and cut down trees and cleared the land to build things. So this story is called The Great Kapok Tree, and you might have already read this story before or heard it read. And that's okay. It's still a good one to read again. That's what's so good about books. So, in the very beginning of it is a letter from the author, Lynne. So, I'm going to read that first. It says, Dear readers, I wrote The Great Kapok Tree to let the world know what happens to the rainforest creatures and to the entire planet when rainforests are destroyed. I hope that after reading this book, you will help save the rainforests. The Great Kapok Tree is about the Amazon rainforest, a tropical rainforest, but we have a temperate rainforest in the Pacific Northwest of the United States that we must protect too. To save acres in the tropical rainforest, write to, and then it gives you an address if you want to write to. It's called the Children's Rainforest, P.O. Box 936, Lewiston, Maine, 04240. And then it says, please care for Mother Earth. Together we can make a difference. And she wrote that back in 1993. But I think it's still something that's very important today. So this is a pretty cool picture. It's a picture of it's a map of the Earth. Here's North America. This is the continent that we live on. We're about right here. And then it shows some different rainforests that are on the different continents and different countries. Okay. Then this is interesting too because there's different parts of the rainforest. There's the understory, and then there's the middle part, and then the canopies at the top. And so different creatures live in different parts of the rainforest. And then these are all the different animals, some of them, that live in the rainforest. So it's a pretty cool book, just from the beginning. All right, I'll go ahead and read this part too. In the Amazon rainforest, it's always hot. And in that heat, everything grows and grows and grows. The tops of the trees in the rainforest are called the canopy. The canopy is a sunny place that touches the sky. The animals that live there like lots of light. Colorful parrots fly from tree to tree. Monkeys leap from branch to branch. The bottom of the rainforest is called the understory. The animals that live in the understory like darkness. There, silent snakes curl around hanging vines. Graceful jaguars watch and wait. And in this steamy environment, the Great Kapok Tree shoots up through the forest and emerges above the canopy. This is a story of a community of animals that live in one such tree in the rainforest. The Great Kapok Tree. All right, now to start the story. Two men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to the Great Kapok Tree. Then he left. Why do you think he might have pointed to it? Let's find out. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack! 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 The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop! 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 The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack! Chop! Whack! Chop! Soon the man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the Great Kapok Tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. You can kind of see all the critters in there. A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. Signor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home, where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down. Do you know what ancestors are? Ancestors are the people who lived before you, the people in your family that lived before you. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. Signor, my hive is in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another. So it's kind of important, right, for the bees. The bees are important to pollinate. They have a hive in the tree. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They scattered to the sleeping man. Signor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then you come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert. So it's important that the tree roots hold the earth in place. So it's important in that way too, especially with the heavy rains that we learned about in the rainforest. The rains would just wash the soil right away. A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. Signor, squawked the toucan, you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop down the trees. Many people settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain. A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear, Signor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives, many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this kapok tree. So think of all the different animals that live. They want that tree as their shelter. A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, Signor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner? So the animals that live in the tree are important because they are the prey to some of the predators that live in the rainforest. 4 tree porcupines swung down from branch to branch and whispered to the man, Signor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Signor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the trees, you will destroy that which gives us all life. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, Signor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future, and surely you know that what happens tomorrow depends upon what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children, who tomorrow must live in a world without trees. Wow, can you imagine? Can you imagine what that would be like? A 3-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy where the first man appeared. Only now did she reach the ground. Plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man, she spoke in a deep and lazy voice. Signor, How much beauty, oh, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes? A child from the Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, "Señor, when you wake, please look upon us with new eyes." The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him, staring, were the creatures who depended upon that great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. A lot of animals that live in the rainforest, that's the only place where they live. That's the only place where they're found. So if there is no rainforest, there is no animals for some of them. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of the flowers. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor, but he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely quiet. What do you think he's going to do? Do you have a prediction? The man stood, picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though to strike the tree, and suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. He hesitated, then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. What do you think? Did he make the right choice? I think so. He made a good one, didn't he? He was definitely thinking about the earth. So I liked in this book how it said the actions of today affect tomorrow. So the things that we do today and the way that we care for the earth today is important, because when you grow up and have kids, you want them to live in a world that is beautiful also and has all these beautiful animals and beautiful plants. So it's important that we don't say, "Oh, I'll start recycling next month." Start doing it today. Now's a good time. Okay, keep thinking of things you can do. Keep doing them.